Last Thursday, St. Martin's welcomed in the new year with intentions to back up their national ranking against a Seattle Pacific team eyeing an upset. After cold three-point shooting in the first half, Miles Samuels took over the game, including back-to-back threes to put the Saints in command for good. But today, St. Martin's faces a Montana State University Billings team revamped for another trip to the NCAA tournament. The Jackets, the Saints, in the battle of the undefeated, coming up on deck in a matter of moments. Good evening, everyone. Jenny Bach alongside Nick Beckman. And Nick, St. Martin's went 2 of 11 from 3 in the first half against Seattle Pacific. Although the Saints were able to turn on the switch on Thursday when they needed it most, they can ill afford to shoot like that against Billings.
Well, you're exactly right, Danny. The thing is, what happened on Thursday night was typical of teams that go through this Christmas break and the holiday time without having a game. They played their last game on the 17th of December, and then it was the 2nd of January before they had to face an opponent again. So getting that 15-day break is hard to get your feet back underneath you when you first get back out on the floor. And SPU came to play. They may be 3-12 now, I believe, after that loss on Thursday, but they really wanted to get that win. This has always been a rivalry, the Falcons and the Saints, but St. Martin's came out in that second half, and you could feel that their momentum was getting better. And it took a little bit for them to really get the traction they needed. As you mentioned, Miles got his buckets at about the 8-minute mark, but it was about the 10:40 mark, 10:48 mark, where they really started shutting down SPU on the defense, and that turned into offense for the Saints. And they ended up running that game out. As you said, they finished strong with an 18-point win, but it was a 23-8 finish in the last 10 minutes of that ball game.
23-8 scoring run to put the Saints into the win column. Down the road on I-5, down in Monmouth, it was Western Oregon taking on Montana State Billings, where we saw a performance from famous left hand, a career-high 26 points. Brendan Johnson also with an eloquent effort for the Yellow Jackets, 21 points and 7 boards. But although a lot of the offense from the Jackets that evening came from left hand and Johnson, this Yellow Jackets team is dependent on Jalen Tott.
MSUB, I'll tell you, with only 2 conference games, the numbers might be a little misleading as we walk into this game. St. Martin's, this will be their 4th conference matchup, and they're 3-0 coming in, 2-0 for the Yellow Jackets as they're coming off that Western Oregon win, like you said, 28-point win, 86-58, and they played their first conference game back in December, the first part of December, against Seattle Pacific, that they beat them in overtime. And that was a close game. It ended up just a 5-point difference, 88-83. So consequently, those 80-plus point games are leading MSUB to look like they're putting points up. They're averaging 87 points a game in conference, whereas St. Martin's averages 83 points going in before we got into conference play, and now as we add these 3 games in, if we just look at conference play, they're down to 73.6, which, like I say, that's a 10-point difference between these two teams. Jalen Tott comes in at a 16.2 clip, and he also is their leader in assists. So he's their motor. He's their engine. He's the 6-foot guard that's going to get on the floor, get the ball up, and he's going to distribute, or you're going to take you to the rack if you don't stop the ball.
For Tott, it's been a little bit of a depreciation from the three-point shooting department compared to last season, where he was shooting at 44% from 3. This time, 32%. So a little bit of regression, particularly in conference play, where Jalen Tott has found his struggles from beyond the arc. Last 2 GNAC games, he's gone 0 for 10 from beyond the arc.
Well, and that's going to be big for the Saints tonight. They're going to have to keep that trend going. They're going to have to close out on him when he's out on the arc and make him distribute that ball, make someone else be the scorer for the Yellow Jackets. Like I say, if we add in all the overall games, these teams are very close. The Yellow Jackets actually only score 74.9. So with our 83-point overall, and then we're back down to 73, we're 1 point difference between plus or minus.
The thinnest of margins separate Billings and the Saints. Let's head down to the floor of our public address announcer, Joe DeBruni.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to St. Martin's University Pavilion and inside the Twin Star Court for tonight's GMAC matchup featuring the Montana State University Billings Yellow Jackets, who come with a record of 11-4 2-0 GMAC play, versus the hometown Saints, who are currently 14-2 and 3-0 in conference play. We did the national anthem before the first game, so let's go ahead and meet the starters for both teams. Let's start with the Yellow Jackets. The 6'3" senior, Zero, is famous left-hand. 6' senior, number 2, Jalen Top. A 6'5" senior, number 3, Brendan Johnson. A 6'6" senior, number 10, Cooper DeWitt. And the 6'7" senior, number 24, Cale Robinson. Head coach Luke Minton in the second season, assisted by Bruce Chomsky. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get on your feet to meet your Saints. 6'6" junior from Niagara Falls, Ontario, number 4, Emmanuel Oliville. 6'5" senior from West Palm Beach, Florida, number 5 is Miles Samuel. 5'10" senior from Salem, Oregon, number 11, Jake Nielsen Skinner. 6'2" senior from Beverly Hills, California, number 13 is Marcel Stevens. 6'8" junior from Chandler, Arizona, number 32 is Dyson Whitehall. Your head coach, Mr. Aaron Landry, 6th season. Associate head coach, Tyler Velasquez, assisted by Wesley Reynolds and Hunter Sack.
Back live here at Twin Star Credit Union Court, Marcus Pavilion. Already had the first matchup of undefeated teams in GNAC play today, won by Northwest Nazarene in overtime over Central Washington in 85-78. Time for round number 2 of undefeateds in GNAC play. Cale Robinson for Montana State University Billings will go up against Dyson Lighthall for St. Martin's. These two teams split the season series last year. It's time to start 2024-25. The Jackets and Saints were underway from Lacey. Jaden Nielsen Skinner advances up the floor for the St. Martin side. 3-0 in conference play, a win against Seattle Pacific on Thursday. Nielsen Skinner dishes Oladele the 3, missed it wide to the left. Lighthall vacuums the rebound out to Nielsen Skinner.
And that's going to be important for St. Martin's to get that offensive glass.
Lighthall will be pivotal. Stutter step before he rotates out to Oladele. Marcel Stevens a 3, well short. Loose ball claimed by Brendan Johnson for MSUB. Cale Robinson dish to Jalen Top. Deep 3, Brendan Johnson missed off the heel. Jaden Nielsen Skinner expedites into the offensive zone. Left side in traffic. Miles Samuels is fouled by Brendan Johnson.
Samuels doing a good job on that left block to get some space and create that, as he was able to back down right underneath the hoop and go up strong with the ball and make the officials blow the whistle.
So the stoppage in play sends Miles Samuels to the line for St. Martin's. 68% free throw shooter. And Samuels misses the first attempt.
St. Martin's does a good job there. Almost 79% from the free throw line as a team. So this will be a good test. It's always good to get those easy buckets from the free throw line.
They look to do so here. with Samuels. And he puts through the back end.
Nice release from the big kid.
So here comes Montana State University Billings with Jalen Tott. This season had a 35-point performance, including the buzzer beater game winner earlier. This attempted shot goes off back iron, and the Saints are able to advance. Here's Miles Samuels. Without hesitation, drains the three.
Samuels with the first look three. He got the rebound, did a good job of blocking out on the weak side glass. Came down and took the open look from beyond the arc.
Open point. He took it. Here's Brendan Johnson. To Tott, to Johnson again. Watched by Nielsen Skinner. Deep three. Missed wide to the right by Johnson. Marcel Stevens. He'll slow up. Watched by Tott. Samuels from the elbow puts it down. It's a 6-0 lead for the Saints.
Miles Samuels doing a good job of finding some space in that mid-range jumper. Knocked down the 17-footer from the elbow.
And he has all 6 St. Martin's points.
Good find by Stevens on that play. His defense is now going to be critical.
Cooper DeWitt, he looks to answer. He can't. Oladele tried to save it. Possession in the end goes to St. Martin's.
Good job on the defense, as it looks like the Saints are in a 2-3 zone down there. As crashing on the glass. A lot of times in that zone defense, you miss players on the rebound. And Oladele doing a good job of getting his hands on the ball as the Yellow Jackets knocked it out.
Saints ranked 4th in the conference in defense. Lighthall missed on the 3.
Oh,
DeWitt can't save it. He runs
nice.
out of bounds. Cooper DeWitt off balance. Hasn't seen him much playing time, although he is a de facto 6th man, you could call in many respects, thanks to the 4 key contributors to the Jackets. 15-point effort against Seattle Pacific in the overtime game. Samuels missed. Foul called after the rebound seized by Lighthall.
Lighthall doing a good job of establishing that weak side glass. It was just a great job by the big kid to get down inside, and he actually got undercut because he went over the top to get that ball without pushing. Just great position to get that ball and create the foul. Another possession for the Saints.
Oladele lobbed up high for Jay Nielsen Skinner. Samuels to Oladele on the find and finish.
Fantastic ball movement there. The quick pass from Skinner into Samuels, and then Samuels with the dime down to Oladele.
Give credit to Samuels for the assist. Cale Robinson short. Lighthall comes away with the board for the Saints as they advance up the floor, already with an 8-0 lead. Nielsen Skinner, he'll shoot the 3 and bury it. Timeout, MSUB. Jaden Nielsen Skinner punctuates an early run by the Saints.
And that's exactly what they need to do, is come out on fire like we talked about. Keeping that momentum going from that second half of last game, of the Thursday night game, is very crucial to getting the win against the Yellow Jackets tonight. If you can keep them on their heels and keep them guessing, I think that defense, the zone that they're going up against, I don't think the Yellow Jackets are doing a good job of recognizing what's available to them. We saw Cale go through with the slash on that one. First time they'd actually attacked the seam in the zone.
And then also, well, it seems as if they've left their play back in Monmouth almost, with how it seems as if they're shell-shocked in a way.
Travel can be that way to you. If you don't get into your rhythm and you're on the road, it's kind of hard sometimes to really get a good feeling. And when they haven't had the ball go through the hoop yet, it's going to just compound it for them.
One of the evils of having to play primarily in the Pacific time zone when your home base out in Billings. Tott, left side for Johnson to Tott again.
SMU staying in that 2-3 zone.
Tott harassed by Stevens and Nielsen Skinner. This 3 missed off the heel by Cale Robinson. Oladele He'll drive down the lane and loses dribble. Oladele a second time scores.
Fantastic job by Oladelli to force the issue, to get to the rim to start with, and then continue with the play to get the finish.
Tot, errant on the three. Pinballed off of DeWitt. Samuels finds Lighthall. Had a dislodge from Jalen Tot. Down the wing, Brendan Johnson to the corner. Tot a three, got it! Jalen Tot.
Just going to say that he should have gone up with it at the rim, but good decision by the Yellow Jackets to get it out to Tot and get their leading score going.
First made three in GNAC play for Jalen Tot. Spin move from Lighthall to the rack.
Lighthall with a great move on that right block. He's doing a great job of establishing himself in the paint.
Tot to DeWitt. Back to Tot to Johnson. Cale Robinson. Watched by Oladele out of play. Possession stays with the Jackets.
Good pressure defense by SMU to create that ball going out of bounds. That'll take us to a timeout.
With 15-19 remaining in the first half. For 70 years, Panowitz Jewelers has provided clients with exquisite beauty and unsurpassed quality from our spacious and accessible store in Olympia, Washington. Visit Panowitz.com for more information or stop by in person at 111 Market Street Northwest. An early start with 4 minutes and 31 seconds elapsed time in the first half. St. Martin's already jump-starting to a 15-3 lead. Danny DeBach alongside Nick Beckman. And Nick, well, it's academic. The scoreboard speaks for itself.
Well, the scoreboard speaks for itself, but the stats even speak louder. I mean, we're talking field goal percentage. SMU is 54.5 on 6 for 11 from the field, 2 for 5 from beyond the arc. But the bigger point is what they're doing on defense. They've got 11 rebounds. It's an 11-1 rebound advantage right now. So the Saints are doing what they need to limit the possessions for the Yellow Jackets. And then on the other side, they're capitalizing on those opportunities, getting those offensive boards. They've got 3 offensive boards already. So, all those extra possessions really add up. As you can see, the Saints have had 11 shots versus 1 for 8 for the Yellow Jackets. So we're already up by 3 possessions or 3 opportunities to shoot the ball.
Dyson Lighthall, Emmanuel Adele leads St. Martin's with 3 rebounds apiece, and already a recipe for success. And you would have to imagine Cale Robinson has got to heat up, especially on the offensive boards. Back in play, turnover. Saints up ahead. Nielsen Skinner finds Miles Samuels. Another 3, this time well short. Left hand, deep pass for Jalen Tot. Lobbed ahead. Foiled on the play was Utara. It's suckered off of Diego Trail Delgado in possession to St. Martin's.
Nice tap by Stevens as he got the offensive player got around him, but Stevens was able to stay with the ball and get that tap away. And right touch gets the ball back in the hands of the Saints.
So here is Jaden Nielsen Skinner for SMU. Off the Trejo Delgado screen. This is Emmanuel Adele. Samuels. Right side, looks to drive. Marcel Stevens drives on left hand. Pass off balance. Trejo Delgado. No basket call to travel.
Yeah, he just shuffled his feet. He got down in good space and he would look to go up to the hoop, but just had to shuffle his feet to gather himself to finish that shot.
Right foot led to the travel call. MSUB looking to find some way to chip away at this lead. Down low, great height, and the finish thanks to Anyel Utara.
Robinson doing a good job of finding that side as Utara closed him out on that weak side. Had an easy laying out of it.
Oladele spindles. He is fouled. And Emmanuel Oladele will head to the free throw line.
Oladele making a great move down there with confidence, and you got to go up strong. You got to know that you're going to get some contact, but he didn't force the issue, didn't lower his shoulder. He just tried to get in the paint and get up to the rim and make the referees blow the whistle. You go to the free throw line.
Emmanuel Oladele, very well accustomed to GNAC play, making the first free throw. Transferred from Simon Fraser this season.
Came down across the border.
Cross from Burnaby. Oladele goes 2 for 2. St. Martin's with a 12-point lead.
There you go, and that's it. They still only 2 buckets for MSUB as they got that last bucket trying to penetrate. Was Delgado got a little bit out of space as he was trying to come up to help in the paint. And Robinson was able to find the open player underneath as Cale Robinson goes to hoop.
Deficit trimmed to 10. Here come the Saints. Nielsen Skinner cuts to the right side. Backpedals on Robinson. Fade away good from Jaden Nielsen Skinner. 12-point lead. Famous left hand is even more famous with the triple. Samuels lob Nielsen Skinner into the corner. Picked once on Robinson. How about another deep 3? This time not as successful. Jackets slowly starting to trim. Saints lead. They look for more. Jalen Tott. Robinson fake the pass to Tott. The 3. Missed off the front of the rim. Samuels comes away with the board. Marcel Stevens cuts to the right side. Dashing in. Fouled on the way. Marcel Stevens to the free throw line.
I like the aggressive taking it to the hoop. That's what you've got to do. I mean, you get the ball pushing up the floor, and it doesn't behoove you to pull it back out. When you can get that action and get the guys going backwards, they don't have a chance to set up their defense. And that's the result. That's the 4th-team foul already on MSUB.
So here's Marcel Stevens at the line. .68% at the line at St. Martin's as a team that is ranked dead last in the GNAC. Omar Ege Pixari checks in for St. Martin's. Already into the game for the Jackets, Jawan Tott. Brother of Jalen Tott. Stevens converts, free throw. And the Saints have a 21-10 lead. On Tott to Jalen Tott. Watched by Stevens. To Jawan Tott to Jalen Tott. Jalen Tott! Shoveled one airborne. He's fouled. He'll head to the free throw line.
Tott not afraid to get into the contact and mix it up with the bigger players in there. But, you know, with Lighthall, he was back on the weak side, and then it was Trejo Delgado that had to come up and get him. But the foul actually called on Stevens on that play, as Stevens was trying to stay with Tott.
Tott makes the first free throw. Story about Jalen Tott. Transfer from Dawson Community College. Finds his home out in Dallas. Tott missed back in free throw. Scramble for the loose ball. This is Jawan Tott. Right side, Cooper DeWitt. Shoveled. However, his foot was out of bounds. Saint basketball.
The bonus possession for MSUB goes wanting as they get that offensive rebound on the missed free throw and then turn it over unforced. He stepped on the end line.
Those are the mistakes that have to frustrate you as a coach. Luke Fennelly, 2nd year leading Jacket program. He's done an excellent job, 31-12 in his career. Lighthall with the 3.
Dyson Lighthall. We'll see what that does for the big fella. See if it sparks him to go inside, or if he's going to be complacent and just stay out beyond the arc where there's no defense on him.
Marcel Stevens comes away with a steal for the Saints. Driving down the lane, dished out to Jay Sean Moore, and he scores a beauty.
Jay Sean Moore with a great step through to get on the left side of the glass and put it up and in.
Moore almost came away with another steal. Timeout with St. Martin's out in front of MSUB 26-11. Through innovative products and services, Twin Star Credit Union is committed to helping its 250,000 plus members achieve financial success. Because we're a not-for-profit credit union, we focus on what matters most, helping the people and communities we serve thrive. At Twin Star, you'll find unmatched service Here, we're on a first-name basis with our members. Stop by one of our local branches or visit twinstarcu.com to learn more. 8 minutes and 11 seconds elapsed time. The first half of play, St. Martin's with a 26-11 lead on Montana State University Billings. Danny DeBach alongside Nick Beckman. And the early stages of this game, we've seen a complete contribution all across the board by St. Martin's.
St. Martin's doing a good job of distributing the ball. They're doing a good job of attacking the glass. But like I say, they're doing even a better job on the rebounds. That rebounding differential is just going nuts. It's 12-4 now. It was 11-1. But the thing is, what's happening is we're making baskets. So the Saints aren't creating rebounds to happen, which is nice. Then they've opened up that 10-point lead. It was 21-11. They're on a 5-0 run. It's 26-11 now. And it's really nice to see number 55, Jay-Sean Moore, out on the floor for his second game now. You could see how positive an impact he is when he got that little pass from Stevens in the paint, stepped through with that left hand on the block, and was able to get that last bucket before the timeout.
Jay-Sean Moore, second conference game of the year. Had himself quite the effort against Seattle Pacific with 9 points. We're back in action, and so are we here at Marcus Pavilion. Jawan Tott, watched by Omar Ege-Pixari, soccered out of play. Billings with the basketball. Jalen Tott checks back in for the Jackets.
St. Martin's doing a good job of being disruptive. Whatever you can do to get in the passing lane, be it a hand or a leg or a foot, it's always good to make the offense have to restart.
And raising the right foot was Jawan Tott in a travel call.
Pixar did a great job of staying in position and staying in front of him, making him want to switch his feet, and he forgot to put the ball down.
Sometimes it's the basics that fool you. Trejo Delgado finds Dyson Lighthall. Closing in on the low block. Lighthall ranges one that's gobbled up by Cale Robinson for the Jackets.
Good look for Lighthall in the paint. Right hand just a little bit short, but great job of paying attention. Pick it up, kid. There you go.
Dyson Lighthall able to come away with the steal for St. Martin's. Marcel Stevens buries the triple.
And that's just what the doctor ordered. Another 3 as they build on this lead, up by 18.
Jawan Tott playing catch with Brendan Johnson. MSUB last touch off of Diego Trejo Delgado for St. Martin's.
Again, good active hands by the Saints on this zone defense that they're playing. MSUB hasn't figured it out yet. They've got 11 points, but they've only made 2 field goals.
Long stretch pass.
Actually, they're 4 field goals, excuse me. 2 for 8 from the line for the Yellow Jackets.
Jackets to find it any way possible, and they do so here with Cale Robinson.
Lighthall got sucked up a little bit in that paint. He's been doing a good job of patrolling the low block around that arc, but he got sucked up to that high post.
Ege-Pixari punched away. Stevens rides in the rack, dropped it to Ege-Pixari. He'll drop back. Dish. Diego Trejo Delgado on famous left hand. Trejo Delgado scores.
Nice spin move. It's tough to go from the right side to the left and then shoot back with that right hand. Great finish by Trejo Delgado.
18-point lead for the Saints. Famous left hand, another 3, this time missed. Trejo Delgado looking down the floor. Left hand swatted by Stevens. More right side, Trejo Delgado. Contact by DeWitt. Lighthall puts one up. He's fouled. He'll head to the line.
And there we go. Just active on that glass, that offensive glass for St. Martin's. And Lighthall doing the right thing. Just getting the contact and making the officials blow the whistle. Now we need to knock down the free throws and keep that going. As so far, Saints have been great at 5 for 6 from the line.
So here is Dyson Lighthall. 58% free throw shooter. Sinks the first one. So if you're Luke Fennelly, head coach for MSUB, what are you saying to your guys with such a huge margin already?
Well, the thing about basketball, they're down by 19, but you can only do it one possession at a time. So it has to start on defense. They have to stop St. Martin's. You know, the offense will turn itself on when they can get the defense to go, but unless they can stop this offensive onslaught by the Saints, there's not much they can do.
Cale Robinson missed on the shot, famous left hand. Missed sprawled and spilled Dyson Lighthall. Left side, foul called. St. Martin starting to tune up the aggression on defense.
Yep, Jay Shine just got caught there. His momentum took him by as he reached for the ball. His arm just kind of slapped it. Obvious foul that they had to call, but no harm. No, it's really not that big a deal. With 9:19 to go, up by 19, you know, that's only his first. And so we're doing a great job on this defensive end.
Only the second team foul for the Saints. Couldn't ask for a better start. Tyler Velasquez's led side. Aaron Landon, the head coach. Todd missed on the jumper. Long stretch pass. Diego Trail Delgado. 21-point lead. Timeout called by MSUB. The Saints are marching on all cylinders.
Pexari with a great outlet to Trejo Delgado to get that easy lay-in and on the fast break, and you just got it ahead of the defense. I mean, everybody's trying to get back, but Pexari keeping his head up behind the play was able to see Trejo Delgado making that run. And when you can reward the big guys for running the floor, it just pays dividends as the game goes on.
And great find. Give the assist on the play. Trejo to Ege Pexari. And you look at the numbers so far as the rebound battle, Billings has gotten a few more boards, but still it's heavily tilted towards St. Martin's.
Yeah, the numbers on the board, 34-13, up by 21 now as they continue to move it up. But I tell you, this defense, this 2-3 zone that is being played by St. Martin's is really causing problems. We'll see if the 7-footer from Tunisia makes a difference in here for the Yellow Jackets now. As far as Kasem checked in, he came in on that last break, so he's patrolling that low baseline on the block down there.
Played at Lee College. Here is Brendan Johnson closing in on Trejo Delgado, and he tried to angulate himself, but he traveled.
Tried to draw the contact, but that extra step to get around to get the shot cost him the travel, and another turnover caused by that defense from SMU.
Ege Pexari on ahead for Jay-Sean Moore. Looks to close in on Kasem and scores.
7-1 didn't bother Jay-Sean at all. He went up, made the contact, great body control to finish off the glass.
From the right side, Jalen Todd. Robinson in the middle from the free throw line. Famous left hand, misses the three. Scrap for the loose ball, stays with MSUB.
The Yellow Jacks get credit with the team rebound on that, and they'll get the possession with 20 on the shot clock. But again, St. Martin's is doing just a great job of keeping Montana State University off the glass. There was 3 guys in there. That's why the ball went off of the Saints.
Here's Brendan Johnson. Pay attention to that paint battle. Here's Jalen Tuck. Fakes the pass. Down low, Kasem scores.
2 big bounces from the right side to the left, and an easy little reverse for the 7-1 kid.
There's Kasem on the score sheet for MSUB. Stevens off balance floater, got it to go.
Oh, that was a horse shot there. I think he might have been behind the glass. He shot that up over the backboard, nothing but net. Great shot by Stevens.
Stevens tempted to come away with a steal and a hand to the face. Stevens check out. For Marcel Stevens, that's his second person.
So Stevens will get a break. It was just too tempting. That ball was right in front of him, and he couldn't help but come down on it when he was trying to knock it away. So you stay in the play. You can't be upset about hustle fouls.
No, not at all. When you put quite the effort, and especially with the lead that you have, you're okay with those types of fouls if you're Tyler Velasquez.
Oh, absolutely. And with 7:40 to go, the referees are letting these guys play. I mean, there's only been 8 fouls total called, 3 on St. Martin's and 5 on the Yellow Jackets. So, you know, that dictates the style of play. And it's up to the players to recognize that. That's how MSUB is going to get back into this. They're going to have to turn up their defense. They're going to have to get those stops. And they're not recognizing that the defensive end is where they're going to get back into this game.
But then again, on the other side of the equation, how do you solve the domination in the paint by St. Martin's?
Well, the thing is they've got the big guys, and it seems like their big guys are getting out of position when we're on offense. They're getting out because we're pushing the ball up. We're pushing the activity right up into the paint. We're not settling for that first look three. Although Miles Stevens knocked down that first look three when he got the rebound and got out and nobody stopped the ball, so he cashed in that three. But for the most part, all of the action has been towards the hoop, and that does nothing but produce positive results.
So, yeah, no, it's been complete prowess from the bigs that you've seen from St. Martin's, and that's how they're in a 23-point lead. But Montana State Billings, they look to find some way to change things, and maybe Ferris Kasem can be that answer. He'll head towards that area this moment. Jalen Tott plays catch. Cale Robinson.
Well, this 2-3 zone defense requires a high post where Robinson just stepped into it, the free throw line. But then you got to attack the angles. It's not about one guy taking the ball by themselves because he's 1-on-3 at the rim right there.
With the missed shot, Todd nearly came away with the theft.
Good anticipation by Jalen Todd on that pass as he kind of made it feel like he was open and then got in the hand in the passing lane to knock it out of bounds.
Here comes Jaden Nielsen-Skinner. On Jalen Tott, off the screen set up by Trejo Delgado. He'll shoot the three. Off the heel, Ege Pixari. Offensive foul called. Charged against Jay Sean Moore.
Jay Sean working down inside. That's why Pixari was able to go track that loose ball down because Jay Sean just tied him up inside. But again, I'm not going to fault hustle fouls and hard working fouls. Moore with his second personal on the play.
Here's Cale Robinson. Drive on Trejo Delgado. Kicked out. Johnson buries the three. Deficit trimmed to 20. This, Jaden Nielsen-Skinner. Skinny dropped it. Trejo Delgado, another three. Another miss. Foul called. And then this going against MSUB.
Yeah, loose ball foul called underneath. Again, Jay Sean Moore doing a good job. And this time, instead of getting the foul called on him, he created the foul against the Yellow Jackets and made them try to get the ball away because he had great position on that weak side for that long three.
How difficult is it after a long period of not playing games to see now Jay Sean Moore playing at this level?
Oh, game speed is unlike anything else. You can't duplicate game speed. So getting out on the floor and playing is so good. That's why it's nice to see him. You can see him getting some water right now, getting a little wind because the conditioning, you can run and run and run, but there's nothing like game speed against an active opponent.
As we are in a stoppage in play, Jaden Nielsen-Skinner contacted by Jalen Tott.
Yellow Jackets now over the limit, so they're in the bonus now.
Plenty of time to work with. Nielsen-Skinner missed.
Oh, nice
one.
steal.
Manuel Adele with the ball for the Saints. He'll look to drive. Turnaround fadeaway. Good from Emmanuel Adele.
Step back jumper by Odell. He did a good job of just knocking it away from Kasem, who kind of got that rebound and then got nonchalant with the handle.
Brendan Johnson rides in. He's fouled by Trejo Delgado.
Boy, I thought Trejo Delgado did a good job of keeping his space. The only thing that might have led to the fouls, he left his feet. He really had good position, and he had Johnson literally behind the glass almost, but he got up in the air, and that body contact when you're in the air, the officials are almost always going to give the benefit to the shooter.
So here is Brendan Johnson at the line. To the a foul from Trejo Delgado. Brendan Johnson had a great scoring effort against Western Oregon, going 8 of 9 from the field. He has been fantastic in GNAC play. He scores on the back end. Had 25 in the win in overtime against Seattle Pacific last month.
And those free throws cut the lead back to 20, so Saints have got them doubled up 40-20 with just under 6 minutes to go in this first half.
Daniel Oladele left in the corner. Low pass taken away. Here's Cooper DeWitt, left side corner. Johnson, miss off the backboard. Samuels closes inside towards the rack, gave it away. DeWitt with famous left hand, long three. Brendan Johnson, good. The Jackets are able to score, and there's the momentum that MSUB was looking for.
You can see that Johnson's trying to get into a little bit of rhythm. He was 2 out of 3, missed that one from the corner just before that, but shooters they don't think about the shot they missed. They're only looking for their next shot. And for him to knock down 2, all of a sudden it's down to 17 again. So that's what they need to do, is the Yellow Jackets need to chip away. They need to get a little bit of runs. Saints did not a good job by turning it over twice on passes that were questionable. There were bounce passes in the paint, but there's a lot of hands in there to knock it away. And as you see, MSUB was able to take advantage, knock it away, and come down the other way.
And they were able to make them pay, and that's why Tyler Velasquez says, enough's enough. Let's talk about it. Again, battle between 2 undefeated teams in GNAC play. Only 3 left. It will be down to 2 at the end of this game. Northwest Nazarene overtime win, 85-78 over Central Washington. So here comes St. Martin's. Nearly just as prompt of a turnover. Cooper DeWitt does come up with the ball. He calls timeout wisely.
Trejo Delgado just trying to do too much there. There was no need to make that big spin move from 14 feet away on the right side. All he needed to do is pick the ball up and find somebody to pass it to. But he tried to do a little bit too much, and all of a sudden it creates another turnover. That's 3 possessions in a row with a turnover. When you're up by 20, you don't want to get complacent about your lead. You need to keep your foot on the gas. You need, especially in the first half. We got 25 minutes of basketball left to play. That's a ton of time in the college game. So this 17-point lead is nice right now, but St. Martin's can't take their foot off the gas. They need to take care of the ball and make sure that their defense turns into quality offense.
And then offensively for Billings, speaking of quality offense, do you rely on the 3 ball? They've been trying it.
Well, they like that 3, and you know they like to shoot the 3, but the fact is throughout the year they're averaging 33%. So they're making 1 out of 3 overall. So that's not the way you get back in the game. You take the good looks by the good shooters. The guys who can shoot the 3s should be looking for that open opportunity, but they still need to find a way to attack that low block in that 2-3 zone. They need to get a high post, and then they need to get somebody crashing from the short side so they can dump that ball down low to the block, and then you make that zone move. And when you make the zone move, it allows opportunities for offensive rebounds. If guys are crashing the glass, that's how MSUB is going to get back in this on the offensive end, is attacking down low and not from beyond the arc.
We'll see if they do that. Ferris Kasem lined up on the low block against Dyson Lighthall.
And I like how Lighthall's been really taking up that middle of that zone in the low block.
They find Ferris Kasem. Down to famous left hand. The drive from Brendan Johnson elevates the pass. Jalen Tott kicked it right corner. Cooper DeWitt missed it.
And there was famous left hand. Like I said, you get that movement underneath, and left hand gets the easy layup on the offensive putback because he crashed the glass.
Remember that play. Thanks to the success in the paint, MSUB. Dyson Lighthall missed off the heel. Oladele comes up with the rebound. Nielsen Skinner, Miles Samuels to Diego Trejo Delgado. Closing in on DeWitt. And Skyhook came up short.
A little bit off the back of the rim, but We talked before pregame that Lighthall, I like it when he hits the threes, but that's not his game. And now he's missed 2 and made 1. So we don't want him to feel like that's the place to be.
Famous left hand. Another 2.
And a 7-0 run by the Yellow Jackets.
That is ended here. Jaden Nielsen Skinner.
Skinny knocking it down from the top of the key. I like it. Just a cold-blooded 3 to stop that 7-0 run.
It's one way to end it. Here's Jalen Tott. Left wing side for Brendan Johnson. DeWitt elevates from the elbow. Linked off the rim and out.
Great job by O'Delly to keep the 7-1 kid on his back.
Rebounds tilting more towards the Jackets. Trejo Delgado missed everything. Nielsen Skinner comes away with the theft.
I like it. Positive things happen when you crash the glass.
Nielsen Skinner backpedals up high. Looks to drive inside short. Punched out of play. MSUB with possession.
Out of bounds off the Saints. I kind of like to see Nielsen Skinner get that pass. He averages 6 assists a game. He's got 98 assists on the season, and we're 17 minutes into this. He's got 0 so far tonight. So that's not indicative of what's really going on because of the way that St. Martin's is converting on the offensive end. They haven't really needed him to be a distributor, but I would like to see that part of his game start to flourish.
That is his strength, leading the GNAC in assists to that point where it's been impressive what
he's got 98, and the next kid out of Simon Fraser I think has 62 is the next. So he's 36 plus on the plus minus for assists.
It is prohibitive, 6.1 assists per game.
So a 6.1, and Irish Kokia out of Simon Fraser averaging 4.8. He's got 62. And then out at Western Washington, Grant Kepley, he's got 60. So there's a couple of kids that are right there, but they're not in the ballpark. 30-plus assists, that's 60 points if you're only making 2s. That's right. A great impact on the rest of the guys on your team.
And what's incredible is they don't even need those assists from Skinny with the lead that they've had. But then again, Billings slowly chipping away at the lead, and at one point it was a 23-point lead. Now it's been cut down.
Back to 16. It was down to 13, and that 3 by Skinny was able to get that 16 points up there. It feels a little more comfortable. It's kind of like that 10 points is that emotional mark for the guys who are down. That 15 points is the emotional spot for the guys that are up. You feel like you're in control of the game with that 15-point lead, where you start getting a little bit tight and playing a little bit tighter when it gets down to 10.
Brendan Johnson denied by Lighthall.
And that's what he's been doing. Dylan Lighthall patrolling that paint, doing a great job on that zone.
Emmanuel Oladele spins on left hand. Rolled off the rim. Dyson Lighthall can't find the rebound. And the Jackets advance. 2:30 to go in the first half. DeWitt. Jalen Tott. Missed everything. Strong on the attempted 3. Stevens, why not? Denied by the rim. Left hand with the board for the Jackets. Jalen Tott in by himself. Spins on Nielsen Skinner. Lost the ball. Harnish control. Kick ball, however. Possession to the Saints.
Good action back up and back down the floor, but personally, I'd like to see St. Martin slow it up a little bit. They don't need to take that first look 3. They can run this clock. They can run the shot clock down, run their offense, and get into a good rhythm and find a good basket versus this up and down the floor. That's what's going to be an advantage for Montana State. I mean, the Yellow Jackets will that's how you get back in the game.
Quick speed and pace, and have the pace get overrun by the Jackets might be to their advantage. Dyson Lighthall for 2.
There it is. A nice little dish by Stevens as he drew the defense to him on that baseline, and a nice little dish to Lighthall right in the paint for an easy lay-in.
45-27 lead. Jalen Tott defers. Kasem missed on the attempted 3.
And I'll let the 7-1 kid shoot 3s all night.
Marcel Stevens, he misses the 3. Cale Robinson comes up with the board for the Jackets. Robinson coast to coast, and the finish.
You got to stop the ball. First rule of transition defense, stop the ball.
Unable to do that. 16-point game. Nielsen Skinner is able to force the foul call.
Got the foul call, which is a good thing. I kind of like to see him drop that ball off because O'Delly was wide open as he got the defenders to close in on him on the left side. O'Delly was right on that short block on the right side for an easy lay-in, and that would have been his first assist. So I would like to see those things happen. You can go to the free throw line and knock a couple free throws down, which is also good. But in the context of the overall game, I'd like to see Skinner get a little bit more into his game.
88.6% free throw shooter. Makes the first one. But you can argue with all the scores you have for St. Martin's, Jaden Nielsen Skinner, you can make a case he's the most valuable player for this team.
Oh, well, assist guys, they do so much for the team. When they push the ball up, they make other guys want to run the floor. They make other guys want to get off the screen clean so that they can get that pass, so that they can get open. And that's what creates that good team chemistry. And it takes good team chemistry to be an undefeated in conference team.
They have all the pieces at this point. Cale Robinson on Trejo Delgado. Deep three. Joan Todd converts on the triple. And looky here, it's a 12-point game.
Juwan Todd only averaging half a point in conference in their two conference games. So he doesn't score hardly at all. And so that big bucket for three was cut it down to 16.
Trejo Delgado. Foul called.
Good job by Diego as he made that contact happen, and he's going to go back to the free throw line.
Trejo Delgado.
These will be his first free throws of the night, so.
59.6% free throw shooter for the Saints.
St. Martin 7-11 from the line in the first half, so doing a good job of getting to the paint, but missed another front end of a 1-and-1, and that's like missing 2 points.
Miles Samuels slow to get up. Foul charge against Samuels. 32 seconds left in the half.
Not a bad foul. I mean, just one of those contact fouls that they had to call, but just the first one on Samuels. So a 2-3 defense still, and they've got famous left hand right now posted up in the high post where they've been waiting for Cale Robinson to fill in. Robinson on the bench right now.
15 seconds left. First half. Jawan Toth the three. Missed it. Trejo Delgado comes over the board. 5 seconds left. Miles Samuels, 3 seconds. Coast to coast. Elevates and scores! Miles Samuels to close out an emphatic first half for St. Martin's.
The step through to make that space was amazing. To keep his composure and know that he still had time to get the shot off. Great play by Miles to get it across the timeline and then get it down close where he could get a good look. Nice soft touch down to the bucket, and 16-point lead at half is awesome.
St. Martin's with the cruising lead. Let's take a look at some of the stats that stand out for both these two sides. St. Martin's scoring from the starters especially. They got that and then some.
Well, it's the field goal percentage that's going to make the difference. I mean, the score tells you that, but at 40, almost 50%, 48.6 for St. Martin's versus 37%, 37.5 for the Yellow Jackets. The rebounds are almost even. I mean, it's 26-18, and at one point we had 11-1. So the Yellow Jackets have been doing a good job of starting to crash the glass, but assists are the same. It's 10-10. Got 4 steals to 4 steals, 1 block to 1 block. I mean, so there's a lot of even stats, but St. Martin's is doing a really good job on that defensive end to limit good shots for MSUB.
And it's been that defensive end that has proved to be the staple for the defense for the Saints all around the board, as we'll have more stats that come in at our disposal here. But another case maybe a cause for concern for St. Martin's. Turnovers starting to pick up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's we're actually getting beat on fast break points, which is surprising to me, but that's because the Yellow Jackets have started to go to the glass, and if we're not stopping the ball when it comes across the timeline, they're going right to the rim, and so they got 9-4 there, but it's the points in the paint where we're doing really good. We're outscoring them 18-12, but those turnovers, we just have to be more aware of ball possession. You can't, a lot of times people don't value the ball enough because it's early in the game. It's only first half. Well, each one of those possessions is the same possession in the first half as it is in the second half. You can get a 2 or a 3. That's all you can do every time down the floor. So if you give up possessions in the first half, those are the ones you don't get back in the second half.
St. Martin's was more deliberate, particularly in the first 4 minutes, and that's how the Saints have been able to hang with the lead that they've had ever since the get-go, jumping out to an 11-0 lead.
Well, and they got the lead up to 23 with 8:35 to go, and it got cut down to 18, or actually we're at 16 at 48-32. Math is hard for me. But the fact is that that's a 9-point swing, but that's that 15 points I was talking about. That's a 9-point swing from 23. Oh, again, it's 7. Math is hard. 23-16 is 7-point difference. So they've done a really good job of keeping that threshold above that 15-point mark and not giving MSUB the feel that they're back in it. They're going to have to dig themselves out of this hole, and that takes a lot of work. And then to get over the hump is even more work. And so if we just play with poise, control the flow, bring the ball up the floor, run our offense. I'm not thrilled with Stevens' 2 choices as we closed out the last minute or so of the long threes because you don't want to give them more possessions. You get a long 3, a lot of times those threes from beyond the arc result in long rebounds. And those long rebounds leave the big guys in the paint, and they're behind the play. So that long rebound in the hands of left hand, he's going to get it up the floor. Jalen Tott's going to get it up the floor, and that's where those transition buckets start chipping away at the lead.
Start chipping away at that lead held by St. Martin's. Let's take a look at some of the scores throughout the GNAC and a lot of big games that are happening here today. One that carries significance for the top ranks of the GNAC, Northwest Nazarene, an overtime victory over Central Washington in a battle out in Nampa where it was great scoring all across the board both ways. Central Washington in the losing effort, Jordan Clark put up 20 points. And then Ryzen Bergerson with 21 points leading the way for Northwest Nazarene, along with Briggs Randstrom. And the case here, Nick, these early regular season games, even some like these, have a huge say in how the playoffs and the GNAC tournament will unfold. Oh, absolutely. Establishing yourself early is very important. And especially when you're coming out of that holiday break where a lot of teams have had 10, 12, 15 days off, they need to get back into that game rhythms. We talked about getting Jay Sean Moore, that game speed, getting that game conditioning back. Everybody needs that coming out of this long break. So that nice win in the second half to push that lead up on Thursday for St. Martin's was really a positive sign. And then the way they jumped out tonight and really kept the pressure up and kept going. Like I say, I'm not sure where the Yellow Jackets aren't recognizing that 2-3 zone. They just aren't attacking it properly, which is to the benefit of the Saints. And it feeds right into their hands. 16-point lead. Let's also take a look at some of the other scores. Seattle Pacific and Western Oregon, 2 teams that played these 2 earlier on Thursday. Owen Moriarty has 24 points. Jackson Knapp with 19. Henry Sandberg with 10. Jonas Latour with 12 off the bench for Seattle Pacific. And it's the Falcons, a winner over Western Oregon, 81-68. Jason Gallant with 17 points. And the losing effort for Western Oregon, Seattle Pacific ups their record to 1-2 in GNAC play. Western Oregon falls to 0-4. Yeah, as you saw, don't sleep on Kefri Fazio with the Falcons. SPU is a good team, and they've got a great coach. He
he kind of broke his teeth in the Metro League, being the West Seattle head coach. And that Metro League is the cream of the crop in Washington State basketball. There's no question about it. There's nothing like, I was at the Rainier Beach Garfield game last night. Number 1 in the Metro versus number 2 in the Metro. Mike Bethea gym, Jamal Crawford court. It was a packed house. I mean, I watched Nate Robinson bringing in pizzas. So it was the mayor of Seattle was there. It was a star-studded affair because that was the last time that Garfield and Rainier Beach are going to play on that court. As Rainier Beach is getting a brand new facility, and that'll be next year. So they've got a few more games at home. But that game last night was indicative of how the Metro League runs. And Kefri Fazio, getting back to my point, is a great coach. He really knows how to get his kids how to play, and he's gonna get that Falcons team in rhythm and online. As you can see, that both teams started slow. Now they put up 81 tonight. Yeah. So that's just that, knocking that rust off. The Saints didn't give them a chance to take a breath after they started putting on that run. After Stevens hit those threes with 8 to go, that 8 to 6 minute mark on Thursday night, I think just took the gas out of the Falcons. And St. Martin's was able to go ahead and then basically coast to that win. But they did a great job of just keeping their defensive pressure up. And like I say, they held the Falcons to 8 points in the last 10 minutes. And you just can't win basketball games with that kind of deficiency.
And then for Montana State Billings, they also had a great offensive performance against Western Oregon, for that matter. As we take a look at scores from the National Football League, Baltimore Ravens clinched the AFC North with a 35-10 win over the Cleveland Browns. Nate Wiggins had a pick 6 early on in the first quarter. Lamar Jackson, another 2 touchdown passes. Derrick Henry, 138 yards on the ground, including 2 scores. The Ravens, champions of the AFC North, in a game happening right this moment. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh playing. The Bengals hoping to keep their playoff hopes alive. Joe Burrow, 18 of 20 for 125 yards, including a touchdown pass to Jamar Chase. The Bengals with the lead on the Steelers, 10-7 with a minute to play in the first half.
Big game by the Ravens. I wasn't sure. I saw that it was a 20-point margin. And I thought, Cleveland, come on, they're going to keep it within 20. Well, thankfully, I don't gamble and I don't bet. But it would have been hard for me to say in a game like that where Baltimore needed to win that to secure that number 1 spot. They wanted to win. But wanting to win and winning by 25 are two different things. It's the NFL, and a couple more. It just, like I say, that was a great game by Lamar and the whole Ravens squad. And truthfully, as much as I loved Russell when he was a Seahawk, I can't root for the Steelers. So, I'm okay with that Bengals score too. But I want to get back to a little bit of stat. I don't want people to think that I'm down on Marcel Stevens. I love his game. Yeah. I love his game. And one of my favorite numbers on the stat sheet is the plus-minus. It's the last one. And with a lead like this, you'd expect a lot of pluses on our side. Yes. And Marcel is 23. When he's on the floor, we had our biggest lead of the night. He's a 23 plus-minus right now. Dylan Lighthall, 17 points. And then we've got Pexari with 13, and Jay Moore being a contributor with his limited minutes. He only played 6.5 minutes, but when he was on the floor, he's a plus 11. So they're being contributors with the minutes they're getting, and the Saints are doing a great job. I love that plus-minus because you can really tell who's doing things on the floor that are affecting the score. It's not necessarily in the stats as far as shots made or things happening, but it's your effectiveness with your overall team and where the team score is going. That really showed me, because Jay Sean's got he's 2 for 2 in the paint, but I was more impressed with Marcel Stevens. His 3 shot choices, 1 for 4. You make that 3 and you want to get another one. And like I say, shooters don't worry about the ones they miss. They're going to shoot another one. But he's 3 for 9 from the field, but he's plus 23 when he's on the floor. So his active hands, his good defense, his activity up at the top of that 2-3 zone is very effective. And it's led the Saints to where they're at in the score.
And with the healthy lead, 16, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back for the second half of action between Montana State University Billings and St. Martin's in just a moment here on SMU Athletics. Back in action to start the second half between St. Martin's and MSUB, with Saints up 48-32. Elevated jump shot drained right off the bat and very much needed for Cale Robinson. The Jackets with an early start trim the deficit down to 14. As they look to trim away from the St. Martin's lane. This is Emmanuel Oladele. From the right side, Nielsen Skinner. Dyson Lighthall looking to close in. Lighthall spins in towards the rack. What strength from Dyson Lighthall.
Just imposing him with will right down there on the left block, or that right block.
Here is MSUB. Jalen Tott, right side to famous left hand. Brendan Johnson skied to left hand, gave it away. Oladele on the move. Marcel Stevens dropped it to Oladele. Nielsen, Skinner, the triple. Missed it. Miles Samuels comes away the board and seizes and wins the bucket.
Great weak side rebound and finish by Samuels.
So here is Jalen Topp. So left hand, right side for Brendan Johnson. Long three in the answer for the Jackets.
Wow, from the Twin Star Credit Union logo, he knocked that one down.
Both teams trading bucket for bucket. Samuels. The mid block, closing on left hand. Behind the back, trying to find Dyson Lighthall. Instead, Brendan Johnson had it stripped away by Marcel Stevens. He's called on the foul.
Boy, Stevens doing a good job of stepping in on that. I'm really surprised. The Yellow Jacket player lost his balance. I couldn't see who had the ball, but Stevens did a great job of stepping in, and just because he lost his balance, they're going to call the foul. But there wasn't much contact by Stevens, and unfortunately, he picks up his third early in this second half.
Here's Cooper DeWitt. From the outskirts with Jalen Todd. Left hand, back to Todd. DeWitt straddled on the left foot and traveled.
Yep. He got hesitant where he was going to make that pass. He thought he was going to toss it. He almost threw it to his own bench, and then he drugged that back foot and got called for the travel.
So the Saints, 52-37 lead. They travel on a 3-game road trip after today. They first head south to Monmouth, take on Western Oregon. Team looking for their first GNAC win of the year. Losers today against Seattle Pacific. Score update as Jaden Nielsen Skinner scores on the deuce.
Over the 7-1 center.
Left side, Johnson, left hand. Rolled off the rim, lobbied out by Oladele to the right corner. Pinball's loose off Robinson, left hand. Didn't get accuracy he was looking for, haltage of play.
I think they're going to call Jalen Todd with that foul. As Kasem was able to grab the loose ball, but
play was. Ball was out of bounds.
Or did Todd just touch the ball while he was out of bounds?
Todd was out of play. Saint basketball. Here's Jaden Nielsen Skinner. Closes to Manuel Oladele. Omar Ege Pixari. Great find. Dyson Lighthall scores.
Lighthall with a nice release with the right hand. Good job of getting it up quickly.
Here is Jalen Todd. Johnson, range left side, Robinson. To Todd, left side left hand. Hale Robinson drives in on Lighthall and scores. Hale Robinson, great move to the rack, something that has to be a point of emphasis. St. Martin's holding the edge, rebound count. Omar Ege Pixar. Relayed out to Lighthall. Samuels. Matched up on left hand. Backdoor feed, Ege Pixari.
Great pass from Stevens. Miles Stevens with just a great pass. Pixari did a great job of making that run on the baseline to get that ball.
Deep three, left hand missed the three. Ege Pixari. Dishes, Oladele. Missed the three. Left hand the board for the Jackets. Stretch pass, Brendan Johnson coast to coast. Jackets able to capitalize. 17-point game. Here's Jaden Nielsen Skinner. He looks to close inside. From the left side, Dyson Lighthall. Great arc, gets the roll.
Nice touch by the big kid. Lighthall doing a good job of getting around Kasem. Cale Robinson tried to close down on him, but he did a good job of keeping that ball in control and getting it up off the glass softly. It fell through the rim.
4:12 remaining, or elapsed time, and second half of play. Stay up to date on all things Saints athletics by following us on social media at SMU Saints or by heading to our website, smusaints.com. Look at stats, and sometimes they are a story of how the game is played out. Starting to see more of the excellence from that of Dyson Lighthall.
Dyson Lighthall doing a great job. He's got great footwork in the paint and inside. And we saw it on that last play where he got it on the high block on that left elbow with the 7-1 Tunisian on his back. He was able to take him down a couple of steps, then come from left to right over to the block and get it up off the glass before the help could come that way, because Robinson was all the way out on the arc, because St. Martin's been doing a good job of kicking that ball out when it's inside. But on that play, Lighthall made the right choice to go up strong with it. Like I say, nice soft touch with the right hand on the right side.
Emmanuel Oladele does lead St. Martin's in rebound category. 7 boards. Leading the Saints, leading all players on the floor. The rebound category. Points in the paint, also edge towards St. Martin's. 30-16 edge. Saints in command by 19. Here comes Billings. Jawan Top. Right-handed dribble, left side Cale Robinson. Down to Todd. Traffic with Kaysen. Jawan Todd. Can't find the triple. This is Jalen Todd. Samuels on defense. Jalen Todd nails the 3.
That's the top, brother. We don't want to shoot the threes. We can let Juwan shoot those. He's, like I say, he's only in the 2 conference games, he's only averaging a point a game. So hitting his first 3 has now made him, he's 1 for 3 from beyond the arc.
Dyson Lighthall can't make the 3. Samuels the board to the rack, denied by Robinson. Todd, Jalen Todd, back pedals, escorts along 2, that's good. 14-point game. Here's Nielsen Skinner. Omar Ege Pixari. Oladele to Nielsen Skinner. Lighthall closing in. Kick to the outside, stolen away by Jawan Todd. Great find and the dunk from Cale Robinson. Timeout called by Tyler Velasquez. And it's a 12-point game. Nearly 6 minutes into the second half. Forelli's Pizza has been locally owned and operated for almost 30 years and is the preferred pizza partner of Saints Athletics. Their top-of-the-line ingredients and quality service make for a one-of-a-kind experience that you can't beat. Try a slice for yourself at the concession stand in the stadium, or bring your or head to the Hawks Prairie location and get a discount on a 12 or 16-inch pizza. 12-point lead for St. Martin's on Montana State Billings. Danny Bach alongside Nick Beckman. And Montana State Billings, they have trimmed, they've cut the 23-point lead, the largest for the Saints, down to 12.
Well, the Yellow Jackets on a 7-0 run right now. It was 60-41 just a quick minute ago, and 5 points by Jalen Todd, and then 2 more by Cale. And Robinson only had 6 points in the first half. He's their leading scorer in conference in their 2 games. He's averaging 19.5 points. He only had 6 at halftime, but he's got 7 already in the first 5 minutes of the second half. So he's up to 13 points to lead the Yellow Jackets. Lighthall on the other side is leading all scorers with 14 points, and St. Martin's needs to make sure that they take care of the ball. Those turnovers are going to be costly if they let the confidence raise up for MSUB.
And Lighthall well above his average for scoring. Averages 9.8 a game with that 14-point mark, as you mentioned. So the Saints against Montana State University Billings team that is very well equipped, and they find ways to head into games where they win tough battles that sometimes they're not even supposed to win. Remember, a couple of years ago, they've won games in frantic fashions. Halted to play, foul called, and the Saints will inbound at the baseline. I think a couple of years ago against Central Washington, half-court shot to win the game by Billings, only to win another game against Central Washington with a buzzer beater. And then you can look at this year. Jalen Todd with a game-winning 3 against Black Hills. This is lobbed well deep. Trejo Delgado back deep. Advance for the Saints. Samuels, Daniel Oladele. He'll drive inside. He is fouled by Aniel Utara.
Nice crossover by O'Delly up there to get to from the left to the right and get it that open look to get up in the air and draw the contact. He almost got the bucket to fall.
So at the line for St. Martin's, Emmanuel Oladele. Book on Oladele. Triple-double. The win against Lincoln. That's when St. Martin's had their 120-point explosion. Great ad for Saints side.
Deli goes ahead, knocks 1 or 2 down, and that free throw margin now 8 of 14. So they've missed 6 free throws, but 2 of those were the front end of 1 and 1. So they need to be aware that they need to cash those easy charity line free points in.
From the left side, in is Cooper Tyson for the second time today. Utara got the board.
Another offensive rebound.
Hale Robinson, double teamed. Close out. Ege Pixari emerges with the board. Here comes Jaden Nielsen-Skinner. Watched by Cooper Tyson. From the left side, Tyson to Trejo Delgado. Samuels, the 3. Linked off the rim.
Good look for Stevens, or Samuel, excuse me.
How about Jalen Todd with a good look? This time, shot rolled off the rim. Trejo Delgado comes away with the board. Tie up for the loose ball. Foul is eventually called. 7:09 elapsed time in the second half.
Unfortunate foul on Diego there as he was hustling underneath to get that ball, that loose ball. I thought we were going to get an out of bounds. The Yellow Jackets laying on the end line.
Within that territory. Jalen Todd. Nielsen-Skinner harassing him defensively. Todd, one of the most dangerous Jackets, elevates. Step back. Was misfired. Oladele, Trejo Delgado all alone. He misses the layup. Defended well by Aniel Utara.
A little late on the recognition. Trejo Delgado was wide open underneath.
So here comes MSUB. Jawan Todd kicked out to Cale Robinson, closing in. Rolled off the rim. Trejo Delgado advances ahead. St. Martin's spins down the lane and scores! Counted in the foul for Diego Trejo Delgado!
And that's how you attack the glass right there. Nice spin move to get open and see that lane and then go right up to the rim. Go through the contact, bucket falls, and you get a foul, and you go to the line. Great finish by Trejo Delgado.
Timeout on the floor. Brendan Johnson and famous left hand bound to check in for MSUB. But St. Martin's stretching their lead. A look at the schedule coming up for Montana State University Billings after tonight. They will host Simon Fraser in Western Washington. And this a case where GNAC teams have the unenviable task of playing. When you have a 2-game split, you usually have traveling partners. When opponents come to Twin Star Credit Union Court here at St. Martin's, it's either followed or preceded by a trip to Monmouth to take on Western Oregon. But one of the toughest trips in the GNAC is playing one night at Seattle Pacific, then heading to Billings or coming from Billings to play SPU. So MSUB, the benefactor, are playing two teams that will be travel-y challenged.
Yeah, well, travel's always hard. I mean, it's not that long of a flight, but it's not that easy of a flight either. It's one of those things. To travel, you got to prepare yourself to go on the road. You got to bring all your stuff. You're out of your normal daily routine when you're in at home. Your practice schedule's off. All of those things all just contribute to getting a little bit out of sync.
And sometimes it can be off, particularly for opponents at Billings. You're in a different time zone, let alone.
Yeah, that 1 hour difference, it doesn't seem a lot, but we know how the daylight saving time throws everybody sideways here. So
that is a wrinkle.
It is something to be aware of.
Trejo Delgado missed in the effort to complete the three-point play. So here is MSUB. They trailed 11-0 in the early stages. Seemingly a tone setter. Robinson dished. Jalen Tott missed on the three. Tott 2 of 7 from beyond the arc. Trejo Delgado looks to take it himself. Anu Tara kicked out. Ege Pixari slides behind the back pass. Trejo Delgado missed the three. Poked out a play by Samuels. MSUB takes over with 11:08 left in the half.
A good inside out by St. Martin's to get the ball into the paint and then kick it back out. Trejo Delgado tried to go against the 7-1 center down in the paint, was able to get it out to Pexari. Then Pexari found him at the top of the key for a wide open look.
Here comes Jackets again. On the left side for Brendan Johnson. Given to Cooper DeWitt. Left side for the baseline. Todd able to extend to keep the play alive. How about Todd to finish? He can't. Rebound claimed by Kasem and a travel call.
Kasem tried to keep the ball high, but he was a little bit off balance, and his momentum made him travel because he kept the ball high instead of putting it on the floor and dribbling once.
St. Martin's lead by 15. Diego Trejo Delgado sports one short. Famous left hand. They navigate with Brendan Johnson. DeWitt outletted to Johnson. In traffic, Kasem kicked out to famous left hand. Johnson, the triple. He got it. Brendan Johnson on the three. It's a 12-point game with 10 minutes left. Nielsen Skinner to Miles Samuels to Emmanuel Oladele. From the left side, left elbow to Nielsen Skinner. Saints with the lead. Long deep three, Nielsen Skinner can't add to it. Ege Pixari is there to clean up the board.
Good things happen when you crash the glass.
14-point lead. Toth lost the ball and a 3-on-0. Oladele rides in and slams it.
The way you run, you get that long out, that long rebound, and push the ball up. And Yellow Jackets had nobody back across the timeline for that bucket by O'Delly.
Here they come again. Samuels, 3-on-2 if they hurry. Nielsen Skinner missed the three. Ege Pixari lost his balance and a foul called against Billings.
Pexar doing a good job on that weak side glass. There was a couple of Yellow Jackets surrounding him, but he did a good job of getting up, getting a hand on the ball. And again, just forcing the officials to make the calls. He got knocked down going up to get the rebound.
Foul, beg your pardon, is against St. Martin's. MSUB will have the
Oh,
basketball.
interesting. I thought that they had called the foul on MSUB. That's my bad. Pixari must have had a hand on somebody as he went up to get that.
We were both hoodwinked.
Now, we're not courtside, so it's hard to really see the officials because they're not looking at us when they make the call.
The view that you see at home is the one that we have here. Broadcast booth. Marcus Pavilion, Ege Pixari comes away with a steal. Miles Samuels down the lane. He's able to head to the line, generate the foul. On fares Kasem.
Great hesitation step by Miles to kind of gather himself as he got up to the hoop against Kasem. That is one of those things you see. Kasem's a big man. He's 7'1", and he's got a big body to go with that. So he's literally a wall when you go down there. And Miles did a great job of getting up right into him and getting the ball up towards the rim and drawing that foul.
Holtage in play, and officials. Omar Ege Pixari back into the game.
Getting a little tape on that right wrist, it looks like.
8:45 remaining. St. Martin's battle of the undefeated. MSUB 2-0. Conference play. Miles Samuels at the line, converts on the free throw. Samuels free throw shooting 68% clip so far this season for the Saints. Ranked 22nd in the coaches poll. However, in the regional poll, Montana State Billings ranked higher than St. Martin's.
Well, it might be because of their 2 wins in conference with that 88 and 86 points that they put up to get people speculating that they can run and score the ball. Tonight, St. Martin's has done a great job on defense of limiting that success.
Still 2 great teams. This shot from Brendan Johnson, a foul on Ege Pixari. But one of the advantages that Billings does have, that home court advantage plays wonders, and there's a reason why MSUB has an incredible record at home typically. 5-2 on the year is MSUB. Brendan Johnson at the line.
Johnson now the leading scorer for the Yellow Jackets after he knocked down that 3. He's 4 for 7 from beyond the arc. Now 3 for 3 from the line.
Here comes SMU. Nielsen Skinner to Lighthall to Ege Pixari. He looks to close inside. Shuffles to Nielsen Skinner. Oladele. Wafted for Dyson Lighthall. Lighthall on Kasem, kicked out. Nielsen Skinner, the 3, got it. It's an 18-point lead for the Saints.
The Yellow Jackets cut it back to 12, back up to 18. And great play getting the ball inside and drawing all that defense in on Lighthall, kicking it out to Skinny beyond the arc to knock it down.
Tot straight inside, and Kasem scores on the finish. It's a 16-point game.
And that's Cale Robinson, the leading assist guy, behind Jalen Todd for the Yellow Jackets.
Straight to the rack, Nielsen Skinner.
Inside, outside. You get the bucket from the outside, and then a quick move to the hoop on the left side was a great finish by Nielsen Skinner.
Here's Jalen Todd. Defended by Nielsen Skinner. Robinson right back to Jalen Todd. Todd. Robinson to the rack. Counted in the foul for Cale Robinson.
And there's an assist from Jalen to Cale, and Cale's going to go to the line to shoot 1 after we get our under 8 media timeout.
7:02 to go. Through innovative products and services, Twin Star Credit Union is committed to helping its 250,000 plus members achieve financial success. Because we're a not-for-profit credit union, we focus on what matters most, helping the people and communities we serve thrive. At Twin Star, you'll find unmatched service. Here, we're on a first-name basis with our members. Stop by one of our local branches or visit twinstarcu.com to learn more. St. Martin's already with 73 points on MSUB, but more impressively so far today, Danny DeBach alongside Nick Beckman. It's not the offensive end for the Saints, but how proficient this MSUB team is all across the board to hold them to 57 points at this stage. Quite the achievement.
Well, we talked about that in the beginning of the game, how deceptive those numbers can be as we're getting into conference play. If you just look at the conference numbers, SMU is down from 83 down to 73 in conference play in their 3 games, whereas on the other side, the Yellow Jackets have gone from 74 up to 87 because they've scored 88 and 86 in their 2 games. So the averages are going to come out, but it's a little deceptive as both teams really average just about 73, 74 points a game in overall for all of their games so far this season. So we're right now, right where we're supposed to be at the end of the game with 7 minutes to go, which means we're being very efficient on the offensive side, getting the buckets. But like I say, that defense has been amazing tonight for the Saints against this Yellow Jackets offense.
Here is Cale Robinson. 14 points on the evening. Got the free throw to roll in. 7 minutes to go. St. Martin's eyeing 4-0 start should they hold on and win. Dyson Lighthall, boy, has he been fantastic for the Saints. Ege Pixari able to somehow behind his back find Lighthall on the mid-block. Lighthall looks to close in on Fazio. Travel call.
They're going to get a travel or a double dribble violation. Either way, you're going to get that when you stop the ball. He thought he got it knocked away, but he really just lost the handle, picked it up, set it down, and then picked it up again, and you're going to get a travel call out of that.
6:36 to go. Montana State Billings. A stretch that will see them flip-flop home and away trips. 1 week at home, another week on the road. We'll do that the rest of the way. Long 3 missed by Johnson. Jalen Tott the board to famous left hand. Robinson, Johnson the 3, denied by the rim. Loose ball, Johnson snares the board. Elevates out to Cale Robinson to Jalen Tott. Open, famous, left hand, short. Jalen Tott comes away with a rebound and misses the 3. Lighthall comes away with the board for St. Martin's.
Good stand by the Saints there as those long rebounders create extra opportunities for Billings.
Samuels to the basket for the deuce. 5:43 left. Robinson to Tott. Robinson faked the shot, closing in on Lighthall. Poked by Oladele. Nielsen Skinner. Backdoor feed. Ege Pixari. Possession will go to Billings with 5:26 left.
Jalen Tott with some quick hands there, was able to knock it off the legs of Pexari and get the ball out of bounds. That'll get subs on the floor and give Montana State UB the ball out of bounds in the backcourt. It's still a 17-point lead, so they're doing a good job even when it gets down to that 12-13 range. They're not letting them get under 10. And that's a big confidence boost, and it's really a killer for the guys that are trying to dig out of that hole.
Here is Jawan Tott. Robinson kicked out. This is famous left hand. Shoveled to Cooper Tyson. Tyson forwarded it along. And Kasem comes away with the finish. 15-point game with 5 minutes left. Stevens. Lighthall to Nielsen Skinner. Right side. Jay Sean Moore. Oladele looks split inside. Finds more tie-up with Jawan Tott, who comes away with the loose ball. Robinson. Left hand, the 3. Got it.
Yep, famous left hand. He tried a 3 on that last possession down the floor when they got a couple extra looks, and he got an open look there. Good find by Robinson to find him open on that left wing on top of the key.
Timeout on the floor, 4:32 left in regulation time. Danny Bach alongside Nick Beckman. A look at scores for women's basketball and GNAC play. Alaska Anchorage, a winner against Central Washington, 68-61. Western Washington earlier today, a win against St. Martin's. Jumps Carmen Dolfo to win number 699. She'll look to reach the 700 benchmark next Thursday against Northwest Nazarene.
You love to see coaches get milestones like that. That's a testament to the hard work they put in. And building that culture of winning is not easy. I mean, to amass that many wins takes a long time and a lot of effort.
34 years at the controls of the Western Washington program, including an appearance in a national championship 2 years ago. So when it does happen, very well deserving achievement for Carmen Dolfo. Western Oregon, in some respects, an upset win against Simon Fraser, 67-64. And MSUB beat Seattle Pacific by 40, 97-57. So the Jackets a winner out in Billings today. A look at some of key scorers. How about Dayani Boyce? 35 points in the win for Billings, including going 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. Impressive showing from MSUB. Back in action. 4:24 left. Nielsen Skinner from the right side. Stevens, Oladele the 3. Missed everything. Jawan Todd comes away with the board. In comes Cooper Tyson. And foul called. With 4:08 left. Coming up after the game, have an interview with player St. Martin's side.
Samuel's picking up his 4th foul on that play, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that.
12-point lead. Here's Cale Robinson. Straight ahead, left side. Cooper Tyson rolled off the rim. Robinson missed on the attempted shot. Lighthall's able to save.
Good job by Nielsen Skinner just to take up some space down there and make him work around him.
3:35 to go. Nielsen Skinner given to Jay Sean Moore. He'll slow up. Moore, offensive foul.
A little bit too much there by Jay Sean. He's trying to get back into that game flow rhythm, and when you get that close, you want to get up to the hoop, and they did a good job of being in that legal defensive position to draw that offensive foul. He really had nowhere to go at that point.
Nowhere to move. A look at, once again, the scores for the GNAC men's side. Northwest Nazarene, winner in overtime, 85-78 on Central Washington. Seattle Pacific and Western Oregon also in play. SPU, a winner, 81-68 over Western Oregon in the victory. 2 games about to get underway here. Pacific Northwest, Alaska Anchorage on the road to take on Western Washington with a 7 o'clock tip-off. Alaska Fairbanks over in Burnaby, north of the border, against Simon Fraser. But look at standings. Northwest Nazarene, 3-0 in GNAC play. And if St. Martin's is able to hold on, well, there will only be 2 teams left in the GNAC that are undefeated.
Well, that's right. Nazarene doing a good job of getting the finish in the overtime tonight. And that's how you say St. Martin's has got to just hold on to this lead. 3:24 to go. It just takes a little bit of poise and just ball control. They got to value every possession this time, run their offense, run that clock down, because the clock is now becoming their friend with a 12-point lead with 3:24 to go. You don't want to push it up too quick, but if the Yellow Jackets aren't going to get back, you got to take advantage of an open hoop.
Then MSUB play Central Northwest Nazarene in their next road trip after being at home next week. Famous left hand with the three. It's a 9-point game with 3:10 to go. Oladele gives to Trejo Delgado. Marcel Stevens to Oladele along the left side with Nielsen Skinner. Skinny, stutter step, left to the right. Lighthall the three, missed it. Trejo Delgado on the finish.
Diego Trejo Delgado bailed him out. Lighthall is now 1 for 5 from beyond the arc. Not the shot you're looking for if you're trying to get back above 10. But, you know, Trejo Delgado doing a great job on the offensive glass.
And
as
here,
he collects the defensive rebound.
left hand, left side, Cooper Tyson from the outskirts. This is Jawan Todd. Right side, Tyson fakes the three on Delgado. Out to famous left hand, closing in, elevates, in and out. Rebound claimed by left hand. Robinson nearly had it stolen by Stevens. Instead, Oladele comes away with the ball. Foul called in the aftermath with 2:07 to go. Billings is in the bonus the rest of the way.
Just the 15th foul on the Yellow Jackets. So Saints will get the ball out of bounds in the backcourt. That'll lead back to 11, and this is where they got to value this possession and get a good shot. It's so tempting to shoot that open three. But they just need to keep working the ball down inside and making the Yellow Jackets foul them so they can get to the free throw line. And truthfully, they just want the clock to run. If they can move the ball and run the clock 30 seconds down every time, it's only a 3 or 4 possession game at this point.
This is Dyson Lighthall. Gives Jaden Nielsen Skinner, deep three. Trejo Delgado looks into the heavens, and the Saints have an 80-66 lead.
When you can cash those threes in, it really stretches that lead out.
And Jawan Todd missed it wide to the left. Out comes Miles Samuels. Closing seconds. And fouled on the play was Samuels by left hand. 89 seconds left. Haltage of play. Here is Jaden Nielsen Skinner. He'll look to cut inside on Kasem. 10 to shoot. He'll head to the rack. Defended well by Kasem. Here comes MSUB. Left side, Cooper DeWitt. Jawan Todd to famous left hand. Counted, and the foul for famous left hand. The chance of the rare 4-point play.
Nice effort on the closeout by Trejo Delgado, but just unfortunately, Famous was able to sell the foul. I mean, he got up and took a little bit of contact and went right to the floor. So he's going to go to the free throw line to see if he can get the 4-point play on this end and cut that lead back down to 10 with 1:03 to go.
Left hand having a proficient outing as far as three-point shooting is concerned. 40%, 4 of 10. Jalen Todd, although not a lot in the scoring department, does lead the Jackets multiple categories.
7 rebounds, 4 assists for Jalen tonight. They have held him down to just 9 points, so. Johnson stepping up and knocking down 18. And left hand looking to get 6-17 out of his run so far. With that minute left to go, we'll see what we can do. We need, just like I say, take care of the ball, run the clock, make them foul, you get free throws.
Left hand, 4-point play. He does. 80-70 lead for St. Martin's. Jaden Nielsen Skinner is fouled.
And there's that backcourt pressure, but they have to foul quick. So the MSUB knows that they need to extend this game any way they can. And their only hope is that St. Martin's doesn't knock down their free throws, because that puts them in the bonus. So now we're at the front end of 1-on-1. So the next 3 fouls are going to be critical for us to knock both free throws down and keep this lead where it's at.
Jaden Nielsen-Skinner at the line. For SMU, what's impressed you the most about him today?
Well, I like how he's been composed. It took a while for him to get the assists. He's got 3 assists on night, but he's got 16 points. So he's contributing in other ways. He knocks down that first free throw, steps back and gets himself gathered so he can knock down the second one. But like I say, he's done a great job of being that floor general and getting the ball moving around the arc. Even though he's not getting the assist, he's actually been the recipient of some great passes because they've left him open, and he's been able to fill up the hoop with 17 points now of his own.
Goes 2 for 2. 12-point lead for SMU. Here's famous left hand to Jawan Top. Left hand, the 3. Off the rim, Oladele comes up with the board for SMU.
Oladele doing a good job of collecting that rebound. That popped all the way back out to the free throw line off the left-hand three-point attempt, and he knocked down the last 2 and just knocked down that 4-point play. As it looks like MSUB is content just to let this clock wind down with a 12-point lead.
All the way down. Saints called for the shot clock violation with 21 seconds left.
I like it. Good poise. Don't need to do anything. You don't need any more points. You're up by 12. And if they're okay to walk away and head to the locker room, that's how you got to take a win and say thank you.
It all started with an 11-0 run to start the game. St. Martin's with the lead to start. They come away in the battle of the undefeated, still unblemished. They upend Montana State University Billings 82-70.
Dylan Lighthall says, I'll take one more rebound to make it 8, as he ends the night with 8 rebounds and 14 points. Great job on the defense. But St. Martin's did a really good job of stifling that potent offense of this Yellow Jackets. He did their 2-3 zone just left them wanting. They couldn't find an answer to how to attack that 2-3 zone. And I think a lot of it was the big play in the middle by Lighthall and Trejo Delgado. They did a great job of anchoring down that 2-3. Good movement on the zone, just left minimal options available.
Not a lot of options to that point. Let's look at some of the leading scorers on both ends of the floor. Montana State Billings able to, well, it wasn't Jalen Tott today, but the other stars were able to contribute to good scoring outputs.
Well, they've got four players that score in double digits on the average. Their leading scorer, Cale Robinson, held under his 19 points in conference. He's only got 15, and that's what you want to do. You know these guys can score, but if you can make them work to get just to their average, then they're going to take away opportunities for other guys because they're going to try to get theirs. They're going to want to contribute what they normally contribute. And when you don't allow that to happen, it's hard for them to shift gears and find other guys to pick up the slack.
And that might be one of the questions for Montana State Billings, where they will be at home next week after the road trip. In a case that will happen, where they will next move on and play Simon Fraser, followed up by Western Washington coming up. But look at the Saints, all-around effort. So many key contributors that you can point to.
Really good. I mean, they're 50% from the field goal percentage to 32 of 64 overall. And when you look at the defensive side, that 11 for 38, the Yellow Jackets just kept trying. Well, I think we talked about, you were asking about that 3, if they could get back by making the 3. Well, you got to make the 3s to be able to make that work for you. They weren't making the 3s. They're 11 for 38. They were held to under 30%. That's 28.9%. So that in itself kept the Saints in a position to be able to keep the lead where it was, right around that 10-point. For most of the game, it was up above 15. And it was just in that final 2-3 minutes that it got down to 9, then it went up to 11, then it got back to 10, and it ended up just being out of reach at 12 points. I mean, they ran off the last 46 seconds because they decided after Nielsen Skinner knocked down those first free throws, that was MSU said, we're not gonna be able to do this, and you know, you got to take it for what it's worth. It's been a lot of travel, a lot of stuff, and like you say, they got another game they got to play before they get back home. So, you know, maybe sometimes conserving a little energy and just conceding a win is okay to not expend all that extra energy.
And they'll get to do that next Thursday as they will head on the road. St. Martin's also will head on a road trip of their own as they will move on, take on first Western Oregon next week, and then a 2-game road trip against Western Washington and Simon Fraser. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with an interview with one of the stars of today's game in just a moment.